Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Nur Farisha Media Masadi, meeting number 280280. We are from Group 1, want to present regarding the causes of corruption in public sector. Before we proceed to findings and discussions, we must understand the concept of corruption. There is no general definition of corruption, but it is frequently described as the utilization of a public position for personal benefit. Corruption is not a new issue in Malaysia. On the contrary, it has been contagious for a long time, and if allowed to continue, it could negatively impact society and bring the country down. Hence, the main thing to emphasize before creating the best method of prevention is to identify the cause of the problem. These are the 5 causes that leading to corruption. Next presenter will explain the findings and discussions of these causes one by one.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good day to doctor. My name is Nuhuda Minturasi, matric number 280936. Now I am going to present the first cause that drive to corruption cases in the public sector, which is lack of accountability. These are 3 previous studies that we had analyzed. Based on this study, we discovered a significant relationship between level of accountability and corruption cases. The accountability factor influences the individual's willingness to accept bribery. This is because when the person involved does not feel accountable, they will not take responsibility for what they have done. For example, even when they are aware that what they are doing, such as manipulating the contract awarding process, is wrong, they still do it because they do not feel accountable for upholding their duty to follow the code of ethics in public service. When public officers are aware that they will need to be held accountable for their action, they are likely to carry out their duties honestly, which will indirectly diminish their desire to commit any corrupt acts. The government must be aware that failure to hold people accountability may lead to occurrence of corruption in the public sector, so that they can concentrate on the method to raise public accountability, which indirectly will prevent the corruption cases in the public sector. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Good day, Doctor. My name is Nur Ain Hanan and my matric number is 289939. So next I'll be talking about political donation and higher levels of bureaucracy and inefficient administrative structures. Well, according to Melo 2018, Malaysia was placed 54th out of 168 nations in the index ranks countries of level of public sector corruption. That being said, political donation has become one of the factors that cause corruption in Malaysia. This happened when the political parties needed the financial support during voting period and campaign. In other words, it can be known as political money or funding, which was used as an exchange mechanism to guarantee control over those in power and affect how state-generated economic benefits are distributed, meaning that those categorized as wealthy and powerful people were silent regarding huge amount cost of running a political campaign since they are seeking for economic rents from dominant factions of politics. Moving on, when corruption happens at the highest level, it is defined as high-level government activities. It is due to the government activities that misrepresent regulation or disrupt the main structure of the federal government. It allows those in power to benefit at the cost of general welfare. Hence, it has been identified as contributory causes of corruption such as high-level bureaucracy and weak or inefficient governance structures. Lastly, by having too many individuals in charge administering the country may generate problems. This is because it is impossible for the government to continually monitor those they have hired. Naturally, everyone has their own personality and character. Hence, it is difficult to tell which one is noble and which are not. Thus, it is part what caused the corruption in Malaysia, which is having ineffective and inefficient administrative institutions.
Hi, I would like to continue with the third factor, which is nepotism. So nepotism is a practice when the people with power have granting their own family member for the opportunity in employment and other contracts. So in nepotism, it erodes the meritocracy concept, where the principle of selecting people is based on their qualifications, skill, and also their abilities. somehow a nepotism, they has a privilege just because they have connections as relative. Based on case study, the conflict of interest might happen if has family interventions in organizations. Nepotism has a high probability of corruptions in silence. The questions among relatives to commit corruption is very dangerous because they have to be given a positions to abuse power and enrich themselves by obtaining contract for themselves. Recently, there are one current issue that triggered Malaysian people. The issue is when Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, our then Prime Minister, has nominated Nurul Izzah, his own daughter, as a senior financial and academic advisor of Malaysia. The indicator of nominations has been questioned by the Malaysians. Is it because she is a PKL Vice President? But we also know that she lost in PRU15, or simply because she is the 10th Prime Minister daughter. People are afraid that hyper nepotism in public sector, especially in government formations. Indeed, nepotism could be a catalyst to the growth of corruptions, and this thing cannot be seen as a small and simple problem. That's all from me. I would like to pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Novita Maisara with method number 280909. I'm going to present the next factor, which is the financial pressure from the low wage and work stress. Okay, firstly, the rising cost of living. So in this inflation era, so public workers find their income and wage are not equivalent to their work. So this will contribute their wealth in living does not cover the element financial sufficiency and security for their individual or family. So when their living costs are not in line with their lifestyle, this will affect them mentally and cause them to continue their life with desperation. So the desperation will cause them to do the corruption. Okay, for the work stress, based on the article by Mukris 2022, there are some workers who are forced to take bribes because of pressure from certain industry. So corruption become the solution by the worker as they want to get the target to gain a tender or a project for them to achieve the targeted performance that is desired by the industry. So this will cause them to not have the courage to report any corrupt activity in their company which involve their superiors. Okay, lastly, low wage. So worker in public sector often compare their salary with worker in private sector. So they see their salary given by government to them low and not commensurate with the result of their work. So the problem in low wage is also because of corruption in other country whose majority of employees are in the public sector as well as Malaysia. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Sarah Anissa with matric number 280854, and I will continue the presentation with the last cause of corruption in public sector, which is power and opportunity. People with power means that they have the privilege to do as they like since they have the position to do so. Public officers with their power may misuse their positions to commit corruption when they have the opportunity. In Malaysia, most politicians abuse their power when they held the position for a long time. They tend to feel entitled to use public resources for own benefit. Depending on how the opportunity would come, along with the expected outcomes, the public officers may decide if they want to take actions that may lead to corruption. When power is combined with opportunity, one might be exposed to corruption when he or she is lacking integrity. For example, when public officials engage in illegal exploits, such as offering or accepting bribes or any other types of corruption. Muhyiddin Yassin, Malaysia's former Prime Minister, was charged with corruption. He was accused of bribery and money laundering through his government's COVID spending fund. This situation shows that Muhyiddin Yassin used the power he had as the Prime Minister to commit corruption while he has the opportunity to do so during COVID-19 pandemic. That is all from me. Thank you.
To sum up, the factors that cause a person to commit corruption in the public sector are lack of accountability, high levels of bureaucracy and inefficient administrative structures, nepotism, financial pressure, and power, also opportunity. These causes need to be considered by the government as well as internal corruption prevention agencies, which analyze the best prevention methods to reduce corruption activities in Malaysia, in addition to increasing the effectiveness of prevention. That's all from us. Thank you.